Hello, welcome to another episode of Open Book. I am Billy Price. I'm one of the two co-founders of Billy Footwear. And for those that are new to Open Book, let me give you a little update. Open Book is a weekly program we do that allows us as a brand to kind of share what's going on in our world. We are an open book, so anything's on the table that we can talk about. But coincidentally, the way our shoes work, with a zipper going on the outside and around the toe, when you unzip it, the shoe actually folds over and kind of opens up like a book. So when you step into your shoe, you're kind of stepping into your book, which would be your story. And then when you zip it closed, it's time to start your next chapter. But the big thing I think I love most about Open Book is our ability to share the platform with others, with those that we collaborate with. So today, we are so honored. We have two folks representing SCI-FIT Petaluma. We have Jessica and we have Devin. So welcome to Open Book.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think a fantastic way to kick this thing off is if you guys could tell us a little bit about SCI-FIT Petaluma.
Yeah, so we are a facility in Petaluma, California. We work specifically with individuals with neurological injuries and disorders. So our kind of main diagnoses that we see are usually spinal cord injuries, stroke, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, and traumatic brain injury. And basically we do one-on-one training sessions with these individuals to help them get as close to their goals as they can. So whether that mean that they are working to stand and walk again, or whether they are just trying to be able to feed themselves or drive their chair with their hand. We're trying to basically get people moving out of their chairs and as close to independence as possible for whatever that means for them.
Wow. So how did you get started?
Like me personally, or like how did we get started here?
Let's start with how did SCI-FIT Petaluma get started, and then we'll go into the personal stories.
So SCI-FIT Petaluma got started. We have a few locations. Jessica worked at our location in Dublin, California. I worked at our location in Sacramento, California. At our respective locations, we had gotten to the point where we were both helping to manage and do some things as far as with the facility and training staff and whatnot. And when it came time to expand, open up a facility in the North Bay region where we are, Jessica and I were both offered the opportunity to leave where we were at and come here and open this one together, and ended up working out really well for us. We actually hadn't met each other prior to this. We knew of each other because our locations are in contact with each other, but we hadn't actually met until we opened this one, and it
jumped right in together.
And it's been great.
Wow, love it. So what about the origin story of SCI-FIT?
So we started, our founder, his name is Dan. He suffered a spinal cord injury back in 05. Yeah. We started in 07. I always get confused. Yeah. And so he was in the Bay Area region, and when he went to go do rehab, he had to relocate down to Southern California. So after he went through all of his intensive rehab, he decided that he wanted something similar to what he did down in SoCal up in the Bay Area. So they started the first SCI-FIT in Dublin in 2007, so that he could basically give other people the opportunity to, gain independence and work towards recovery, so they didn't have to potentially relocate. And so that's kind of our goal now, is as we're expanding, we have 6 locations now, so that we can try to reach as many people as possible, so that it's more open and available for people.
Boy. So here's another question. So when it comes to, because you used some words earlier that I wanted to kind of touch on, are you trying to empower others, so you're basically kind of working yourself out of a job, so they're taking it on their own, or is it more of a maintenance thing?
Yeah, it can be both, right? Like the bittersweet thing is when someone does well enough that they're not with us anymore, but it's great that you don't have to work with us anymore, right? And we've definitely had some people that have gotten to the point where they feel like, hey, you know what? I've gotten everything that I wanted to get from here. That's great. But there's definitely a maintenance aspect to it as well. We've had people that have been here with us for 3 months. We've had people that have been with us for 13 years. And so we run the whole range of goals, outcomes, and the whole, like Jessica mentioned earlier, the main goal is working towards more independence, whatever that means for that individual. So, yeah.
Can you talk about some of the gear that you have?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of different things. So like some of the fancier stuff that we have is a Locomat, which is our robotic gait training system. And then we have things like FES bikes, functional electrical stimulation. Those can work to send an impulse to muscles to tell them to basically contract. So no matter how many exercises we do with someone, I can't force their muscles to contract from within. So that bike definitely helps us do exercises, cycling and all that. We have standing frames so people are able to get up and load bear. We have, gosh, I'm trying to think of other things.
I mean, we can even talk about, we have our SCI-FIT that will like let you know whether if you're standing, putting too much weight on your left side or your right side, so we can have it more even stance when you come up and move a little more with a little better weight distribution, that type of deal. Get immediate feedback on that.
Wow. Okay. So can we touch on that for just a moment? Talk to me about that one, because I've not heard of that one before. It sounds like it's a standing frame, but it can tell if you have more weight on the left than the right. Is that what it is?
Yeah. No, it's actually, so it's just a big, like a platform. It's got a screen in the front so it's mirrored. Yeah. So there's a floor here, big screen here that you're looking at as the user. On the floor though, there is a force plate that's separated. So when you have someone, for example, like who's had a stroke standing on it, when they're standing on the force plate, your body may be telling you you're standing upright and your weight is distributed evenly, but we go, hey, look at the screen. There's a virtual mirror on it, so you get to see you're actually leaning to your left, and most of your weight is on your left foot based on what the screen is telling you. So you're getting immediate feedback to go, hey, I know you don't feel this way, but I need you to be more on your right side, and so you're standing a little more evenly distributed. And so we can give them that type of cue, and it helps a lot.
Wow. I mean, that's so cool, because I mean, you're absolutely right. It's funny how you think when you're sitting up straight, you look in the mirror and whatever, you're like, I am not straight at all. So having like a device like that to even go that specific from left to right, I'm sure that's really impactful.
Yeah, having that external cue for people is huge sometimes, because it's just like, it's so easy to see a little bar that moves and you're like, oh wait, that's center, and like suddenly you just like look completely stacked. So it's just that quick that it can help some people find that even ground again.
So Devin, I'll start with you. I mean, you touched on a little bit of your story, how you got into like this particular space, but was rehab or exercise science, was that always like an interest of you growing up?
Yeah, when I was in college, I was definitely interested in the physical therapy aspect of everything. Played football in college, got hurt a little bit, so there was always you're rehabbing various things. I got surgery on a knee, so in the rehab of that was a definite interest to me. While I was in school, I did a semester where I went to an adaptive PE program at a JC. So then I was there getting to help like stretch and move around a little bit with people that have spinal cord injuries and have had strokes. So that was my first like exposure to this field specifically. Wanted to go the physical therapy route after I got done with school. Ended up not going that route for various reasons. And the wife of one of the owners where I originally worked ended up approaching me saying that, hey, they had just opened this facility. They were brand new at the time. So she approached me and I ended up getting in contact with them and interviewed from there. And now it's been coming up on 11 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It means that time just flies.
Yeah.
Jessica, how about you? Did you always have a heart for exercise therapy and physical therapy and all that?
I did gymnastics. I was, more of like an athlete growing up, and I definitely always thought that I wanted to go into physical therapy. And it's funny because there's no real reason why I had this kind of like inclination in me, but my dad was talking to me when I was probably in junior high, and he was like, I think that physical therapy would be like a really good route for you to take. And I was like, yeah, that's not actually a bad idea, but I even knew as young as 13, 12, that I didn't necessarily wanted to do like the typical rehab route of shoulders, knees, just like your typical PT office. I wanted to do something more meaningful. And I even said at the time, I was like, I want to help people like in wheelchairs, like walk again, do all that kind of stuff. And I had mentioned that way back when, but just kind of went about my way, was in college at Sonoma State, was going through the physical therapy route, same kind of similar to Dev, where like I was going to go to PT school and then just various things that didn't end up working out for me. And so I was applying for jobs, and my friend had actually worked for SCI-FIT, applied, fell in love with it instantly. I got the job. A week later I started, and it was just amazing to see how, you know, someone might be working on something seemingly small, like if it's, you know, rolling over onto your stomach and being able to prop yourself up on your elbows. Like, to anybody that's able-bodied in day-to-day life, that's no big deal. But for someone that's in here, like, that can be life-changing. And so I just liked how there was just so much there. Like, it was just so meaningful to do all that work. So I never left.
Oh boy, absolutely love it. So I'm going to touch on a little bit of my story in just a moment here, but before I do that, I'm going to throw some information up here on the screen. So I know listeners and viewers now are going to be wanting to know how they can get involved, how they can get signed up. So can you touch, so on the website, or excuse me, on the screen right now, we have the website up. Let me spell this out for you. So for those that are listening, it's SCI-FIT.org, but it's SCI the dash line and then FIT.org. And then on Instagram, it's SCI-FIT Petaluma, all spelled out. So SCI-FIT Petaluma. But I wanted you guys to hopefully, how can people get registered, or what's the process to be able to set up an appointment to be able to come in?
So the easiest way and the most efficient way I would say would be go to that website, the SCI-FIT.org. On there, there's a button that says apply now, and you click on that and you click apply, and it'll populate a list of the locations. You pick the location that you would like to apply to, and you fill out the form that pops up. From there, someone from the facility will give you a call, and you can work on scheduling your evaluation. They typically take hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how everything goes. But yes, all the locations are really good at getting back to people pretty quickly. So if you submit an application, I would say end of the next day is really when we're trying. Yeah.
Might I add, those evaluations are free as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So it's just a great way for people to come in, see what we offer, see the equipment, see if it's a good fit for them. Like, we're not here to try to force you into anything. If it's something that you feel like you might get something out of, we'll kind of tell you our recommendation, and then you definitely go from there. I mean, I will say that most people come in and they enjoy it. So that's what we want. But yeah, it's completely free.
So when I get into conversations like this, it takes me down memory lane. And so I broke my neck when I was a teenager, which is a while ago at this point. It was October of 1996. And my injury was a 3-story fall. It was a head first fall to concrete, where I broke my neck and my lower back. And I remember being in rehab, and I remember rehab was very difficult. It was very difficult, both mentally toiling, because I was a fiercely independent kid before being in a wheelchair. And then to go from that type of life to one where I was no longer independent, I was very dependent. It was a very jagged pill to swallow. And I just remember being in rehab and being surrounded by so many folks that really believed in me before I believed in myself. And it's not like they fixed me, but they created this kind of like safe bubble for me to choose to change my mindset and like kind of like try to move forward the best I could. And I remember working with the occupational therapists and physical therapists, and everything exercise related when it came to stretching and working out. And it wasn't a matter of trying to be the best, but it was a matter of trying to do the best with what I had. And it's interesting because those that were pushing me along, they weren't necessarily my friends, but they were my coaches. And they saw like what, like the incremental gains, which later in life would really, pay dividends, and like how inches turned into miles. So I say all this to say this, thank you for what you do, because your involvement, I think it can be somewhat of a thankless job at times, but you are working with more than an individual. You're working with the whole collective, like family unit in situations to be able to motivate and encourage and to let that individual try to be the best selves. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that. Thank you for sure. Yeah.
So I know I can talk to you guys forever, but I want to be respectful of your time. I do have one more thing to ask, and I was hoping, Jessica, you could answer, but also Devin, you too. Those that are out there listening right now or maybe viewing and are interested, but they're just kind of on the fence, you know, they're just right at that point where they just need that little extra oomph to choose to get involved. And what would you say to that individual? And I would imagine your response would probably be laced in what the potential outcome is going to be.
Yeah. And I think sometimes almost the outcomes can deter people because they're like, you know, that's a big step. Like, I don't know if I can do all of that. And kind of like my way to rebuttal that is, what happens if you stay at home? What happens if you stay at home and maybe you have minimal exercise that you can get from someone at home and you're not doing much? Or even if you're coming into the gym once or twice a week, not only are you able to move your body and maybe get 1% better, but you're also around a bunch of individuals that are in the same situation or similar situations. And that can be super uplifting. Even if you're coming in and it's a hard day, someone else might also have a hard day and you guys can talk about it, like someone that is on that same field. So aside from the physical, you know, gains that you can make, the community that you can feel and heal in here is huge. And so I think that honestly, most of the benefits definitely outweigh any of the cons that come from it. So just get out there and get moving.
I would,
Devin?
I would just add that, like, you already know whatever you're doing is going to get you. So if you try something new and you don't like it, okay, then you know what you're going back to. But there might be something that helps you, and it might even be something that, if nothing else, shows you that there is other stuff, and maybe we aren't the right fit for you, but let you know that, oh, but I could try something else because I know that I do need something else. Okay, that might just lead you to, okay, I need to look for something maybe closer to me, or maybe not quite that style, but different from what I'm doing. As long as it gets you moving, then that's the main point.
Yeah. Yeah. Motion is lotion.
Exactly.
It really, it's amazing how just a TheraBand or using like just the weights or just like stretching or whatever, how much of a difference something so simple that you'd think doesn't really make a difference. In my world, it really helps my posture. It helps me put my shoulders back. I have more stamina, and it's just like having a regimented exercise program. And it's funny because I'm kind of looking at myself in the mirror going like, I need to get back on my regimented exercise program. But it really does make a difference. And but Jessica, too, I love the way you touched on too, because it's also a mental thing too, mental healthness.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, thank you so much again for your time today. This was absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
So everyone else out there, this was another episode of Open Book. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll have another one again really soon. So until then, check out SCI-FIT.org and check them out on Instagram at SCI-FIT Petaluma. Okay, take care.